Welcome back, league mates and listeners. We are co-hosts Dane and AJ. We're back with another Pigskin Pals podcast. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Week 3 of the NFL. We're finally into the third week. Don't forget to sack that like and subscribe button like it's Dak Prescott. You could be those Saints back there taking them down over and over and over again and score touchdowns on them too.
Get sacked that much.
But we have a couple quick questions. We're going to be going through our favorite DFS lineups again in our competition. It's 1-1 right now, so it's pretty close. And then we're going to be going over our redraft and dynasty league picks, who we think is going to be winning. So let's get stuck right in. Okay, like I said in the intro, we are into the third week of the NFL, and we have some rankings. So the quick question today is, who do you think is outside the top 24 in a position ranking is going to start outperforming their current stats and is going to bounce back to some normalcy?
I think, honestly, for running back, I think it's pretty clear. Maybe not clear, but for me, it's like a lock for that to happen. He's running back 32 right now in a half PPR league. Najee Harris. I feel like he'll easily pop into that top 24. I feel like there's probably some running backs. I haven't really looked at the full top 24, but that are like easily going to fall out of that. They're not getting the same production or the same touches that Najee's getting. It's just a matter of time before he has a big game. I mean, he's getting a boatload of work. The offense, I'm sure, will improve. Maybe not a whole lot, but enough where, he'll start getting those double-digit points. I just feel like with how much he touches the ball, it seems almost impossible for him not to get into the top 24. And I would bet probably top 16 by the end of the year. It's just the only way he can go is up, and the only way that a lot of those guys, or a good few of them in the top 24, can go is down in comparison. So
yeah, that's a great shout out. I was just looking around him, and yeah, you're right. There's really no one around him that is getting the amount of work that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe Rashad White with receptions also, but he just got hurt too. But yeah, 20 carries and 17 carries and then 2 targets in each game too is looking pretty nice. I mean, Kenneth Walker is only down there too because he missed last week with an injury. In the wide receiver part, the person that stood out to me is Ayuk, mainly because of the new injuries on the San Francisco. They're going to be without Debo for a while. CMC's still not back. Kittle is healthy, and then they have Mason. So I think the offense might start running through Ayuk. He's finally got some game time under his belt and shaking off all that rust from missing some training camp stuff.
Wow. No, I totally agree. I'm just looking at guys in the top 24 right now. It's kind of crazy, some of the names in here, like Jalen Naylor, Alec Pierce, who may stay at least top 24, but he won't be at 5 like where he is now. There's someone else in there too. There's Alan Lazard won't stay there. QJ won't stay there. There's a bunch of guys who definitely are going to fall out. So
what about Jameson Williams?
Dude, I was a resident Jameson Williams unbeliever, non-believer, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, man. He's getting a good amount of looks like in terms of targets, and he's making use of them, I guess is what I'll say. There's a lot, like, they're long targets. He's getting 40 yards a catch, basically. Like, he's going to have long touchdowns. He might actually be all right and be like a top 18 guy, which I was not expecting.
When he was coming out of the draft, he was my favorite receiver just because of his just obvious explosiveness. But the first 2 years he was in the league, I quickly churned into being like, okay, this guy's a bust. But now in year 3, it's pretty interesting. And I think this year the NFL is just a lot different too. Like the game 100%. Is shifting. It's almost going back in time, it feels like, where teams are really slow. Defense is pretty good. Running the ball is kind of the way to go. Maybe it's like extending to outside the game too, where it's like development and other things too, where it's like it used to be.
That's fair.
Year 3 was the prime breakout time for wide receivers instead of 1 year and you don't do anything, you're a bust. I think there were some crazy prospects, and now the game's trying to like slow back down maybe.
Yeah, and I think definitely, I kind of agree that the game itself, at least for the first 2 weeks, who knows how it'll go the rest of the season, like kind of seems like it's going back to like run heavy-ish a little bit more, at least than in the past, not as air raidy. And I feel like with those run heavy game scripts or just games in general, those big plays are more bound to happen off like play action and stuff like that, where they, cover gets blown, and that's where guys like him are going to thrive. And Rashid Shaheed, you see both those guys, they're the same type of player. They both started off hot. And I think it's because of that game script and that like type of play.
Totally. Well, it is Thursday. As we are recording this, we have the Jets and the Patriots playing in under an hour. What do you think about that game?
It's going to be
take home that dub.
It's going to be a classic Patriots game. I think the Patriots are going to play everybody close, and maybe this is going to just blow up in my face and it's going to be a rout. But from what I've seen so far, the Patriots are going to make you earn the win, and I think it's not going to be any different. Probably going to be something like a 23-20, 27-20 type of game if I had to bet. I think that the Patriots are going to win. I don't know why. I think I have just completely shifted on them. I have a lot of faith in that team right now. I think they've been running the ball really well, and I think if they can control the clock and control the game, that they will have a good chance to win. But I also have them, I'll have them win 24, let's say 24-20. But I would not be surprised if they lose 35-10 as well. I could see it going the complete opposite way too.
Yeah, maybe I'm just a Rodgers truther.
Yeah, you are.
But I think the Jets are going to walk away with the W, their first home game of the season. And then I don't know if you saw what Geno did to the Patriots last week, but he just absolutely dismantled their passing D.
Yeah.
Both their receivers had 15 catches or over 10 catches and over 100 yards. So I'm kind of hoping that we finally see the Garrett Wilson breakout game.
Possible.
Where Rodgers has been getting it out insanely fast. I saw he was getting out in 2.3 seconds right now.
Damn.
Which is fucking insane.
That is insane.
I could just see Garrett Wilson getting 10 catches and breaking a couple out. That's what I'm hoping for. I mean, they definitely have the D too. I'm kind of scared for Jacoby Brissett. I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure, and he doesn't really have the receivers to
try and run. That's why I think they're going to try and run and they've been doing well at it. They've been pretty good at running the ball. And that's why I think they're going to probably stick to that, or at least try to and keep Brissett safe a little bit and have them respect the run so that they can throw the ball. But I think that's going to be their game plan every game. So I don't know.
I'm interested to see what's happening. It's not the worst Thursday night game that we've had.
No, I'm sure it'll be entertaining.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it. Let's get into our picks for this week. Into the picks. I have to get it ready. I'm going to be honest. Here we go. And the picks.
I am wiping the floor with you right now.
Well, that's not true. If you want to talk about wiping the floor, we'll look back to last year, Dynasty, I think it was, where you lost by 8 games or something like that.
I had to start going with crazy picks.
That's true.
That was just my downfall.
You did end up the margin was wider because you just kept going for upsets, which so it probably would have been closer, but you still lost. Right now in redraft though, we're only 1 game apart after 2 weeks, which is not too bad. I feel like that's pretty good I feel like in redraft last year we were pretty more all over the place, just because you don't know right away, right? Right away you're normally losing a lot more than winning, just because we don't know how the year is going to go out. But I think we're doing pretty solid. And this week, we only have 2 differences in our picks, and that would be Peter versus Jake and Ben versus Sam.
Yeah, I am pretty confident with the ones that we both went in on together, but we were both kind of said that the 2 games that we're different on are kind of a toss-up. And we can start with Peter and Jake, that first one.
Yeah, for me, that one, it basically just came down, I think it is a toss-up. It came down to me to the flex plays. And let's say Peter has Kobe Myers and Demarcus Robinson, which Demarcus Robinson is technically wide receiver 1, but I don't really know if I trust the Rams offense much at this point. And Jake has Calvin Ridley and Devin Singletary. So I feel much better about those 2, especially about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley's really good. And I think even though the Titans are going to lose a lot of games, their fantasy guys have been putting up some points, minus QB. Tony Pollard's been good. Ridley's been good. Those are the only 2 people that really matter, because I think Hopkins is kind of irrelevant almost at this point. But I like the 2 flex guys better than Peter, so that's why I went with Jake.
And I went with Peter because of that New Orleans Eagles game. I'm really excited to just watch that one, see if the Saints finally fall off or if they just keep lighting the world on fire. And they definitely could against the Eagles secondary.
Absolutely.
And then I think the Eagles also have a team that could fight back with Saquon and Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts. But he has some stud running backs. I'm not fully sure if Jake's Rachaad White's going to be going or if he's going to be at full 100% too. So that was what I was thinking there. And then with Ben and Sam, I went with Ben because I think it's going to be a tough game in Chicago and Indianapolis. And Sam has 2 of those players. Ben has Keenan Allen, but I don't think he's going to be playing, and he's going to have to be subbed out for, honestly, probably someone that's better. If Love
Jennings
is playing.
Or Dontavion Wicks, come on now, better? I don't know.
I don't know, dude. What has Keenan been doing this year?
Yeah, no, I guess you're not wrong.
I guess he did have 11 targets, but Caleb's just not looking that good. I don't think the Bears really know what they just don't really know how to convert third downs, and it really halts their team, I think. And until they figure that out, or give Caleb Williams some more time somehow, or get a running game going, then they're going to be struggling a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
Those are my heads
I kind of went Sam. I don't really have a really good explanation other than I think I like his entire team better than Ben's. That's just I don't know, just looking at the players, looking at the matchups. I like almost every single play on Sam's side better than Ben's. So it wasn't really too hard of a decision for me.
Quarterback,
we'll see,
though?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'd take C.J. Stroud for sure.
Against that Minnesota defense that's been stout.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud and the weapons that Houston has will be perfectly fine against Minnesota. Like I said, I basically just like Sam's entire team more. So that's that.
Jaden Daniels against Cincinnati, that's 200 rushing yards incoming.
It might be. You're not wrong. Who knows? But we can move on to Dynasty. We're back to Dynasty, baby. We're pretty chalk. But I will say, we're not doing very well in the predictions.
No,
we're getting
wrecked.
Lit.
We got wrecked last week. There were a ton of upsets. And
I'd take one of those.
Well, to be fair, too, we didn't really look at any of the matchups. We went into last week making our picks, and we were like, we know these teams. We know who's good. And we just kind of blindly chose them. Or pretty fast, and it didn't work out too well.
Turns out a new season changes what teams can win. It's crazy, I know, but it happens.
So this week I looked at it a bit longer, and we do have quite a bit chalk picks. But
I think a lot of these matchups are a bit more lopsided than they have been in the past, or the past 2 weeks, whatever.
I mean, I was surprised that you went with me over Riley. That was the first thing that stood out to me because I think that one's actually a toss-up.
Yeah, that one probably is the best game of the week, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that or Peter and Ethan, but I think from what I remember, it would be you and Riley. But I think Riley's kind of struggling a little bit with injuries right now.
The Cup injury,
Cooper Cup one is huge.
Really
That's
hurt.
it, honestly. That one's really a big one because you're trusting then Alec Pierce and Tyler Lockett and Khalil Shakir, who are like, you can't trust those guys. You have no idea what you're getting from them. So it just felt like
apparently you can trust Alec Pierce though.
We'll see. He seems like he's been the guy that
I know
Richardson's throwing to. Maybe that's just because Pierce is the guy on the deep ball a lot, but
it will be interesting with Downs back too now.
True.
We'll see how that wide receiver room shakes out. But also, I'm curious to see if Taysom's actually going to play because he was in the hospital after last week. But it looks like he's limited today. Otherwise, Riley's going to have to be playing Luke Musgrave in his flex. I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing at QB2 yet. If Love plays, do I throw him in there? Or if he sits, do I play Malik Willis over Daniel Jones? Or my new guy, Andy Dalton.
Could be an Andy Dalton week. After the Raiders just shut down Lamar a little bit. I don't know. Andy Dalton better than Lamar Jackson? Could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
But yes, the other game is that Peter and Ethan game. I went with Ethan, even though Peter probably has like undeniably that best team, people would say, in Dynasty, at least in our power rankings. He was high up there. He's got like Bowers, and maybe I should just go with Peter. But he did lose Pacheco this last week and AJ Brown.
Got guys to back him up, man.
Yeah, I went with Ethan just because of Jaden Daniels. I don't know. I guess I'm just really high on him this week. Then he's got, I think that Baltimore and Dallas game is going to be pretty good. He's got Dak and Andrews.
That's true.
Like Chase against Washington, like that's a juicy matchup too. Maybe he's finally back up. Amari Cooper against the Giants. Like his wide receivers definitely have those juicy matchups. Cape Davis revenge game.
Could be.
I'm reaching with that one.
There's a narrative there.
But then also he has Xavier Worthy for Patrick Mahomes. I'm assuming they're going to be throwing the ball a lot more, but if it goes through Worthy, that only benefits Ethan too. And yeah, Richardson again, I'm predicting getting shut down by the Bears too.
All right. You know what? You made some good points there. I think Mahomes is going to have a big game. I think it won't all go through Worthy, so I think that will be obviously a big benefit to him. Brock Bowers against Carolina, dude. Brock Bowers looks like he's been a staple of that offense so far. I think he's going to have a monster game. Zach Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker out. Like we talked about him having a bunch of injuries, but he's got a lot of guys that just like Zach Charbonnet wouldn't have been a good fill-in before, but because of the different injuries, it's a great fill-in for his injured guys right now. Zach Charbonnet I think has a good game, and Jerome Ford against the Giants is just a great matchup. So I just like a lot of the matchups, and I like a lot of the players. Bijan Robinson has looked incredible. Just as a football player, he's looked so good, and I don't think that will stop this week. So I really like Peter, and I like his team.
Baller.
All right,
let's lit.
Week 2 DFS results.
Yep, I finally got my dub. I lost our just competition, so I didn't really have your team, but we had quite a few similarities. But like you and Mike Evans and everything, and
my team, I looked at it from I don't know the score, but I looked at like from last week our visual, and I was like, holy, this would have been a crappy lineup. Like I had Terry McLaurin, Zach Ertz, Jaden Daniels. Those guys all didn't do anything. Mike Evans, that guy didn't do anything. Like a bunch of misses. So
yeah, I mean the Cup injury. Obviously, it hurt us both, but we both played him, so it was a wash. But I was right about Jacobs having a pretty good game against the Colts. It just ran through him. It looked like Pacheco was on his way until he got hurt. Dude, the Cardinals punting the D.
Dude, that was. I think that, I mean, it wasn't the difference because my team sucked, but like, had this been a close game, that would have been the difference for sure. Because like punting D and then getting this insane 11 points from them is nuts.
Yeah, and then I think we both had Mason, and Theo Johnson was not the call last week, even though we were both high on him.
I thought it was good. Good.
Week one week was not enough to get a good sample size, so
I guess
it looks
not.
like that. But then Chris Godwin lighting the world on fire, wide receiver 1 right now.
Crazy. Also, I'd like to say Theo Johnson, I think that all is because Malik Neighbors has like an 88% target share. I don't know what it actually is, but it's insanely high.
Neighbors gobbling up all those targets.
That shit up, dude. Come on. All right, going into our week 3 lineups. Dane, who you got?
Well, I'll start with defense again. I did the same method as last week. I absolutely booted and punted that defense. I don't know why, like this. I'm not upset with playing the Panthers D against Vegas.
It's not the worst.
Like, I think Minshew could always have one of his normal games, throw a couple picks. I'm hoping the Panthers are just going to be like having a new energy too with Dalton, and they're going to be playing a little bit different. But back at the top with quarterback, I went with Derek Carr. It was a middling play, but I liked that game a lot with Philly and New Orleans. Let's see if he can stay hot. It's the first week that we both didn't go with Jaden Daniels.
That is pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
And it looks like you didn't go with Jordan Mason again. I'm going to be playing Jordan Mason, I think, every single week until he hits like that 7K figure.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't even realize he was still that cheap. I just assumed that he was like pretty expensive, but that's pretty good for Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I was struggling to find my second running back, but I went with just someone that was, I guess, more of a value. It's crazy that he's almost the same price as Jordan Mason. I went with Montgomery, and then Ayuk. We both have him in there. I think this is going to be a good bounce back week for him. Just have everything kind of run through him. And then I got CeeDee Lamb in my lineup too. And Jackson Smith and Jigba with Kenneth Walker out again. Like, I'm hoping they just have that same kind of game plan as they did last week with just a lot of short completions. And if he can get another 12 or 16 targets, that will be great for me. I got Mark Andrews, so a little mini stack with CD and Andrews. And then I got Tutu in there as my flex punt. He's the cheapest Rams wide receiver.
Nice. We kind of have some similarities in it in terms of like, it looks like we kind of targeted the San Francisco game a little bit and have that. Like, I got Purdy and Ayuk, but I got Colby Parkinson on the way back just in case, that type of thing. You got Tutu on the way back with Mason and Ayuk. So we got a kind of similar core there. So I went Purdy at QB. Great matchup. Pretty cheap quarterback. After Kyler torching up last week, it feels pretty nice. Alvin Kamara, I think, man, he's been on a tear. I don't think that stops against Philadelphia. He's going to be a good play. He was a little bit more expensive, but I think he's just a surefire 14 points, so it feels pretty good. Tony Pollard, speaking of surefire 14 points, that's a guy who's going to get you 14 points. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to look good, but good God, he's going to get there. And he's pretty cheap at 6,000 underneath both Jordan Mason and Montgomery. He could outscore them both. Who knows? Good matchup as well in Green Bay, as people have been running all over them. You stack with Purdy. Tank Dell, I mean, he hasn't started off too hot, but 5,200 for a guy that's...
come on.
I like this. Gonna just like he could have that huge game, and for 5,200 it feels nice. It feels like he's due.
Did you watch the Monday night game? He had like a 50-yard touchdown that he dropped too.
Yep, exactly. Like, he's had the chances. I think it's gonna all come together this week, and at that cheap of price, it felt like a steal. Speaking of breakouts, Marvin Harrison Jr. had his breakout last week, and he has another good matchup with Detroit. I think that's a smash play. Kind of talks about Colby Parkinson a bit. Just wanted to kind of have another guy in that game, but going the opposite way. And I think Matt Stafford is a guy who likes targeting the tight ends, and especially now with no real wide receivers there to help him, I think the tight end could be a position he super focuses on, and I think Colby Parkinson could be a reasonable play for a pretty cheap price. Alec Pierce in my flex. He's kind of a dart throw guy.
That's a good flex spot.
He could
what we said at the top of the show. He's fifth overall in wide receiver rankings.
Who knows? He could score. He could put up a donut, and I wouldn't be surprised. But he also could put up that 60-yard touchdown, and that's what I like in that flex spot. And then I got Pittsburgh against the Chargers. Herbert's a little banged up right now. Who knows if he's going to be 100%? And this Pittsburgh defense has looked pretty nice. I don't really think that the Chargers offense is as real as it has looked the first 2 weeks. They haven't had too hard of games, so I think Pittsburgh is a good choice here.
Yeah, I want to see the Chargers get put in a position where they have to throw the ball.
Exactly, 100%. Well, I don't know if this is a team they're going to have to do that against, to be fair.
Well, I mean, if they just can't do anything on the ground, like
they're gonna have to, right? No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, Steelers have a very good defensive line, in my opinion, where
absolutely
it might be a tough team to run against. And Tomlin Smart, he knows their plan is just to run the ball. If he can just stop that and make Herbert win the game, I think Herbert can win the game.
I think true. Yeah, you probably can. But I think bust of the week, everyone's really riding really high right now. J.K. Dobbins is going to have a down week, and everyone's going to be really disappointed.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I mean, I think there's some writing on the wall for that. Yeah, I have to play him too, but the Steelers, yeah, he's been blessed with some juicy matchups, and the Steelers are not one of those.
Some fancy advice here, if you can. I think this honestly might be a good time if you can get something real for J.K. Dobbins. We don't know if this is going to last all year. This could be a time to sell him before this game because his stock might plummet and might never go back up. So if you get something reasonable.
I would need something real, as in a real running back, and I don't think anyone's going to pay.
But I think J.K. Dobbins might be on some teams that got running backs already. You know how late he was getting drafted? He was a waiver wire pickup. They might not need him. If you don't need him and you need a receiver or something, I think it's worth.
I don't need wide receivers. If you're talking about my dynasty team in specifically,
it's worth exploring.
I would trade him in redraft for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna try for this week. Starts obviously not before this game, but see if I can get something for him. But we'll see what happens. That is our episode. We appreciate you all tuning in. Don't forget to smack that like and subscribe button. Hit the noti bell, baby. You know what it is.
Sign up on Underdog.
Hard-boiled bread.
All one word.
All one word. No spaces. Don't mess that up. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Doses. Go Jets.